Okay, I thought I would try this question. The answers are actually provided here, but the idea is to explain how I would use a bar model to solve this problem. Right, the ratio of the number of stamps that Sarah has to the number of stamps that Hunter has was 3 to 8. After Hunter had given 18 stamps to Sarah, the ratio became 9 to 13. And we are asked how many stamps did Hunter have at first and how many stamps did they have all together? Okay, so I'm going to draw a model, a bar for each. We're going to start here. We've got Sarah and we've got Hunter. And we're going to draw, and the ratio at the beginning is 3 to 8. From Sarah to Hunter is 3 to 8. So we're going to draw 3 parts for Sarah. I'm saying Sarah. The girl I knew whose name was spelt this way growing up, her name was Sara. But I know a lot of people use that for Sarah. I have no idea. I'm going to go with Sarah because that seems to be the most common pronunciation at the moment. Right, 3 parts for Sarah. And we have got, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 parts for Hunter. Okay. So that represents the scenario at the beginning. Okay, 3 to 8. Right, so then what happens? Well, Hunter gives 18 stamps to Sarah, and the ratio becomes then 9 to 13. Now, there's 2 things that I want to point out here that are useful to know. One is that if you notice, if you add the number of parts together, this actually tells you, if we look actually at this at the beginning scenario, 8 plus 3, well, that's how many parts? 8, 9, 10, 11. There's 11 parts in this beginning scenario. Okay. So in fact, if I do that, that's 11 parts in that beginning scenario. And the other thing to notice, to note, is that nothing comes into this system. We don't get, the stamps are not given away to someone else outside of Sarah and Hunter. Hunter doesn't get another, number of stamps from somewhere else. The number of stamps is going to remain the same. It's just how they are distributed that is changing. Okay, now if we look at this, if this is 11 parts, then it's useful for us to look at what the final scenario is. Here we've got 9 plus 13. Okay, that gives us the total number of parts, and this is 22 parts. Now we can see that 22 is twice 11. So what's happening here is just a redistribution of these parts, and it's going to help us to divide these by 2 so that we get the 22 parts that we are talking about in the final scenario. Okay. So now we have 22 parts. And what we're told is that in the end, Sarah has 9 of these parts and Hunter has 13. Well, what does Sarah have now? She has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parts. So to get 9 parts, she needs another 3. I'm going to use a different color. Okay, so that means 3 of these parts are moving to be given to Sarah. Okay, so that's 1, 2, and 3. Those are the parts. That's what Hunter gives. Okay, so now if we look at it, this is the end. At the end, this is what Hunter has. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yep, that's what we expect. That's the 13 that we've expected. And Sarah should have 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Fantastic. So we have drawn the model correctly. Okay. Now we can put some value. Let's have a look. After Hunter, we were told that Hunter gave 18 stamps to Sarah. That means that these 3 parts represent 18 stamps. Okay, so if we divide 18, if we divide that by 3, okay, we get 6. All right, so each of these parts has a value of 6. We can't see that very clearly. And I could write a 6 in for all of these parts. They all have a value of 6. They all represent 6 stamps. So what we are asked then in the first question is, how many stamps did Hunter have at first? Well, let's look at our model, and we need to think of how many, what was the original um, bar for Hunter, and that was this bar here, this whole big bar here. All right. And how many parts is that now? Well, originally that was 8. Okay, we've doubled that. So that's now 16 parts. Okay, so we want 16 times 6. Alexa, 16 times 6.
16 times 6 is 96.
There we go. And that's 96, which is what I anticipated. I suppose I should have had my calculator out. I can't be bothered to do 16 times 6. Right. So that is the 96 that we have here. So fantastic. Okay. And then what we're asked is, how many stamps did they have in all or altogether? Well, that's just, well, we know that there's 22 parts. That's the whole of the model. And each of those parts has a value of 6. And we now, if our model and if everything we've done is correct, if I, let's just write that down. So we want 22 times 6. Okay, this is question, I should do this. Question A, question B. 22 times 6. Alexa, 22 times 6.
22 times 6 is 132.
Fabulous. Okay. All right. So I hope that helps. Remember, bar models very often are about equal parts. And in this situation, you want to pay attention to the fact that, well, how this, that there's no stamps added or taken away out of the system. So you're always dealing with the same number of stamps. It's just how you are dividing them up that you've got to think about.